This week's episode is brought to you by nightchannels.com. That's right, nightchannels.com is a new sponsor for Horror Movie Talk, and they sell some of the baddest ass horror movie t-shirts you have ever seen. I'm sitting here looking at their site right now, and I got a couple shirts pulled up. They got a Chud shirt. They got the Thing sweatshirt. We got Faces of Death, if any of you remember that little ditty. We have Guinea Pig, the Japanese horror movie hoodie. There's just a tremendous amount... Oh, The Shining. There's just a tremendous amount of just off-the-wall, obscure horror movie titled shirts and sweatshirts that you can grab. And,
right.
And
in addition to, like... metal and occult and just
all kinds of sick,
alternative
nasty
stuff.
shit.
Yeah, it's really cool. Go check it out at nightchannels.com and use code HMT at checkout to get 13% off. The evilest percentage.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
Through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
I found even more shirts from the Night Channels site that I need. So there's a Death Spa shirt. There's also a Tales from the Crypt hoodie and a Slumber Party Massacre shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, they got everything.
Yeah, it's great. Go check them out. Just browse.
Yeah,
you don't have to buy anything.
Right,
just,
exactly.
You'll find something.
You'll find something.
Hey, I'm Bryce Hansen. I hold a PhD in spootology.
And I'm David Play. I get the most professor of foremost expert scare. No.
Check out horrormovietalk.com. There you'll find links to our social media where you can talk to us and other horror fans. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe and leave a rating on Apple Podcasts. If you want to leave us a voicemail. Jesus Christ.
You guys...
I got plenty of sleep last night. I'm just turning Australian for some reason.
I trust you.
Call 682-253-4468.
That'll get you through to our voicemail line where you can give us the Chazwazzers. You say hello to Bob Bilby while you're down there.
It's a lot of blockage. So we got a great show today. Today we're going to be talking about Saint Maud, which looked very interesting as an A24 movie, so you know it's going to be like relatively good quality. But yeah, this one kind of blew me away, like low-key blew me away.
I'm so excited to talk with you about this movie. Because I got a lot inside me that needs to come out.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
I got a big, thick,
It's pretty thick.
blockage
of information you want to share.
Information that I need to share.
If you're new to the show, let's just give you a rundown of how it works. We start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge that makes you angry you saw it, 5 being an average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later, we'll be doing a couple bits, catching up on social media and voicemail in a bit we call It Came From Social Media, and a bit we called it Horror Movie Whores. Yeah, so this movie really made me miss the theatrical experience.
This was one of my biggest notes. I was like, this would be so good in movie so much better in movie theaters.
I mean, my default for watching movies now is so distracted.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I watched it in here in my computer room, and I got another computer like ticking away, and like I can always press pause and go do something else. Or so yeah, even with all the distractions and taking a break in the middle of the movie, I felt feelings and just had an intense feeling of dread towards the end of this movie. Like it's very impressive how much came through and how shitty of a circumstance I was watching it.
And this is where we differ. I knew we were going to. We were going to differ in this very, very, very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's part of the reason why I'm so excited to get on with this review. Like we gotta do this because I didn't have that same experience, and I have a lot to say about it as to why.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways, we watched Saint Maud, and oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. Here's the trailer.
Dear God, your presence graces the air, and soon everyone will see.
Hi, you Maud?
Yes, hi. It takes nothing special to mop up after the dying.
You're prettier than the last one.
But to save a soul, that's quite something. Bless Amanda's body, and bless her mind, which is shrouded in darkness.
When you pray, do you get a response?
Oh, it's like he's physically in me. It's how he guides me.
My little savior.
Hey, I thought that was you.
What you up to?
I'm a private carer.
You're still nursing?
What?
They know what happened.
All the good girls go to hell. 'Cause even God herself.
I just want to see you loosen up.
I've got more important things on my mind.
There's my little savior. Maud, he isn't real.
Nothing worthwhile comes easily. All the good girls go to hell. Don't say I didn't want you.
You must be the loneliest girl I've ever seen.
I'm ready and open. I feel fuller of your love than ever before. I have a responsibility.
Oh, yes, of course.
This is life and death on another level. What if I'm getting it all wrong? All the good girls go to hell.
So Saint Maud can be found on Epic Streaming or on Region B2 Blu-ray on Amazon.
Duh.
So you have to have a UK Blu-ray player.
Yeah, doy.
I'm kind of sick of all these like impossible to find movies now. Like Young Frankenstein was only on Stars. Like in this day and age, you can't even just buy things anymore.
Right. Well, I mean,
this is a brand new movie, so I wouldn't expect.
All you have to do is start your 7-day free trial with Epix through Prime,
right,
to watch this.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, you're just giving your name, address, and phone number to just another fucking nameless, faceless corporation.
I know. It just bothers me though.
It does. Yeah. No, I get it.
I just want the ability to pay money.
Just give me the thing.
Just please take my money so I can have this thing.
No. Money down.
You have to do it free. So, Saint Maud is about a devout Christian English nurse named Maud, played by Morfydd Clark.
That is a difficult name to pronounce.
Morfydd. So
it's got to be like Welsh or something.
Yeah, I think it is. Who takes a job as an in-house hospice nurse for an American expat, Amanda, played by Jennifer L. Again, another one that I'm not sure about the pronunciation. E-H-L-E.
Yeah, E-H-L-E.
L. Amanda is an ex-dancer, choreographer of some fame that still holds on to as much drama and vanity as she can in her final moments. Maud becomes enamored with Amanda and quickly takes her on as her personal project to save her soul before she dies. Maud starts off looking like a typical naive but earnest believer, but eventually is revealed as a dangerous, unhinged zealot. This is really my type of movie. It's another film suggested by our hardfucker, Dustin Goebel.
Yeah, I mean, there was a poll on our Facebook group about who fucked the hardest, and Dustin just blew everyone else out of the water.
Right. It's
crushed everyone with his Teflon dick.
Right. It's one of the best examples of a slow burn. While not the same thing at all, this is the infinitely better version of I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. You remember watching that for the stream? Were you there for that one?
No.
Oh.
There for that one?
The second Saturday stream?
Oh, no. Is that what you watched? Was that last month?
No, it wasn't last month. I think you watched it. You just don't remember. Because I think you only missed one, didn't you?
No, I've missed two, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that movie is also about someone, like, taking care of someone in hospice care as a nurse, except it was exceedingly boring and had no point and like, had no payoff.
I think I did see this.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yes, it was just a nothing. Just a fucking ton of nothing. That was the most forgettable movie I've ever seen.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, in contrast, the pacing in this movie is excellent, and there's plenty of room given for character development and for things to unfold in a very natural way. There isn't too much hand-holding, but you are given everything you need to know to unravel the puzzle that is Maud. If it weren't for a couple of disturbing flashbacks in the beginning of the film, you'd never expect that this would be a horror movie or the places that this thing would go.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to politely disagree with the there isn't too much hand-holding, but you are given everything you need to know. I feel like they really kind of smack you about the face quite a bit with the... They tell you what to think about this movie and about Maud and about all the implications of everything that occurs. And that's a big part of my issue with this movie is it goes big sky god bad. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not a believer.
Right.
And it doesn't leave it to you at all to decide or determine what has happened. It very clearly.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, in terms of like, no, I mean, when I'm talking about like not a lot of hand holding, it doesn't really tell you exactly what happened with her last patient. You know, it shows you in like brief flashes, and there's a lot of implied stuff, and it doesn't really give you the full picture of Maud until the end. Like I know that they're like hinting at it, and it was pretty much like it
was almost obvious to me from the very start.
I mean, you can tell. You can definitely tell where it's going to go. It's not going to end well, but I don't know. When we talk more in spoilers, I'll talk about like the different directions that I thought it could have taken that it didn't. Like, I think that's what I'm talking about is like it left a lot of ambiguity about exactly the direction it was going to take the ending, I think.
Okay.
Anyways, it was really impressive to me how off balance this film kept me. It felt like it could have gone in dozens of different directions. I think I would have been satisfied with any number of them because I was thoroughly on board by the midpoint of the movie. The last act really ups the tension because of the uncertainty of how it's going to end. I mean, yeah, I could see how you could disagree with that. I mean, it's going to end bad, but it's more of a question of how is it going to end bad. And when it comes, it is deeply disturbing and satisfying. I highly recommend seeing this movie. It's up there with anything by Ari Aster and Robert Eggers for me.
I definitely don't hold it in that high of regard. where you said it felt like it could have gone in dozens of different directions. I very, very much, that was not my experience at all. To me, this felt like a foregone conclusion from the point at which we start mocking God in the movie, and where her religious experience begins to differ from reality. It does a good job of leaving it up in the air for a little bit, but I could just the vibes were so strong of like, you're nuts, like you're really nuts, that I just went, oh, okay, this is gonna end this way.
I mean, it's a strong perspective of like there's no question that this movie is taking like an atheist stance of like this is,
and it's in the title. It's in the title of the movie, Saint Maud. They've set her up to be the scapegoat from the very start. And
right.
And so to me, it felt like a foregone conclusion instead of a fun mystery or something to be left up to me.
Yeah, but even then, like I say that it's coming from the perspective of like that, you know, this isn't actually existing, but I still don't think it solidified that place until the end.
Right, and that's really where it kicked it down like a full point for me.
Really?
Yeah. It was the end was just like, oh, well, now they're just beating me about the face with what they want me to think.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny because I feel like I'm more religious, at least, than you, which is not... I'm not super religious, but in terms of, like, buy-in and... I don't want to offend you or anything, but...
No. You can't offend me on this, and I understand where you're coming from. I'm an atheist, roughly speaking, although I think I'd probably go so far as to call myself an agnostic now. I've kind of come a little bit closer into the full circle of being raised religious and then kind of losing that and then kind of coming back around to being... and realizing that this absolutist idea... is silly in any regard or aspect of any part of life, you know. So, like, why would I just say that I'm right?
Right.
In terms of I know what's going on in the afterlife and people's spirituality, and it's like I don't, you know.
Right.
It sounds kind of what do you call it? Passé to say, but I mean. If you do enough drugs, you kind of start to realize that there's not any particular, not necessarily even drugs. It's just like, you just realize, once you start realizing that reality is just kind of this thing that you're imagining and everyone experiences it differently, suddenly all the bets are off and you kind of go, oh shit, everybody's having a moment
right
at the same time, and they're all different moments.
Sure.
And so for all that, I respect the atheistic stance a lot less. This hard stance of like, well, they're just no God, and you're dumb if you think that. That's as ignorant as saying, well, there's definitely a God, and he looks like this, and he did this, and he needs to save your soul. I mean, they're both silly places to come from, I think.
Right. I mean, even so, what I was saying.
Not to get way overly religious with this whole thing, but this episode is going to be heavily religious.
Yeah. So I mean, I still believe in God, and I think I could see why people would be offended by the characterization of religious thought or whatever in this movie. But really, I think even religious people or devoutly religious people can see someone that's an insane religious zealot, like extremist, and say, well, that's not right, that's not good,
right,
and you're insane,
right. But
so I mean, the real
smack in the face is when you name the movie Saint Maud.
Why do you take issue with that?
Because you're making the claim that essentially, okay, so this girl who, I mean, spoilers, she's nuts, is a saint, or should be judged to be a saint. in the religion that she has chose to worship in, which is Catholicism.
I think you're looking into it too much, because I interpret it as it's from her perspective. So she is elevating herself and to like a very important position and a very important like role in God's plan.
But that's the mark of saints.
Well, I mean, I don't know enough about saints. I didn't grow up in that tradition, but like I feel like saints don't try to be saints; they just become because of what they are and what they did.
I mean, she praised her saint is Mary Magdalene, so Jesus' mother.
No, it's not. That's not Jesus.
Mary Magdalene. Who's Mary Magdalene?
Mary. There's two Marys. There's Mary Magdalene. There's Mary, Jesus' mother.
Oh, who's Mary Magdalene?
Mary Magdalene is the follower of Jesus. She is basically a repentant sinner that started following him, and she was one of the women to see him after he was resurrected.
Well, that blows apart that whole line of reasoning that I had, which was going to be that Mary said, I never had sex with anybody, and here's a baby. Like, I'm a saint now, I guess. It's like,
no, I mean, I think in Catholicism, Mary isn't, you wouldn't even consider her a saint. She's basically like as close to God or a demigod as you can get.
God's whore.
Okay.
Well,
all right, I apologize to our Catholic listeners.
No, I mean, I'm taking the hard stance of standing up for the Catholic religion in this movie.
So where did I leave off? Oh yeah, so
right before the score. So it sounds like we're going to disagree on this. I mean, I really love this movie, and I'll tell you my thought process. I knew it was very, very good in my eyes, and I always have a hard time giving a 10 out of 10 because I'm like, you add that label of transcend genre boundaries, and then it gets a little weird. And so I was like, yeah, it's probably a 9. But then I'm like, I never give out 10s, even the ones that I really, really like. And I feel like this is as good or as good of an experience as I had with The Witch or, Dr. Sleep. I think I think I did Dr. Sleep.
So, I mean, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 just because I really think it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's a definite, I definitely agree with you in some aspect of that, which is, I mean, there is a motif that comes with being an A24 movie of just kind of a veneer of good, high quality craftsmanship. And there was an aesthetic in this movie that I enjoyed quite a bit, especially towards the first quarter of it, maybe the first act, where it was kind of very accidental Wes Anderson-y. There was a lot of shots that were just so, and a lot of there was like this wallpaper that was very geometrical and so I don't know. It feels like a high quality A24 flick.
Sure.
And everything is executed in a very good way. I like the way the movie is made. I like the acting. I love the actresses. And what few male actors there are do a good job as well. I think it loses me with the heavy-handed.
So you're bothered by the message, basically.
I'm bothered by the message. I'm bothered by how easy it was for me to pin it down and just go, like, it just wasn't enthralling to me because I knew where it was going. And at that point, it became more of like okay, let's get there. And I'm hearing some people say things like, wow, and it's only 82 minutes long. I don't know how they did that in 82 minutes, but to me, it could have been like 70 or 65 minutes. I mean, it really could have. There was a lot of... Just because it was a foregone conclusion at one point, and it was like, okay, can we just...
So what was the Well, okay, we'll talk about it in spoilers. But what's your score?
Yeah, I enjoyed this to the tune of a 7. About
yeah. That's fair. I mean, I'm sure it's not for everyone. I mean, I'll talk about in spoilers why I think there's more ambiguity for me, at least. Okay, so before we get to spoilers, let's talk about...
I'm glad we don't agree on this.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, but I shouldn't be. I mean, I'm often surprised. I shouldn't be surprised that I'm surprised.
That's how surprise works.
You know,
you can't be surprised unless you're not surprised first.
You know what's really surprising, though?
What?
It's when you unveil your dick and it's just completely well coiffed.
Ting! It has that little light shine off of it.
Yeah.
Goes, bing.
When your wife isn't greeted, or wife or girlfriend or whore off the street,
or male friend
isn't greeted by like an insanely like raggedy bush.
Yeah.
Like,
what can help me achieve these levels of glossy dick?
Well, I'll tell you, David. There's this company called Manscaped. They have a website called manscaped.com.
.com?
So, as the name suggests, a little like landscaping, manscaping is landscaping your junk.
For your dick?
Your man.
What about my butt? Can I do that?
You can. So Manscaped has a wide line of products suited to men to trim and prim and scent and just generally upkeep your junk and taint and ass.
Let me tell you, it's hard.
Wherever you're gonna use it.
It's fucking hard to cut yourself with that lawnmower 3.0. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I tried.
It's the best hygiene tool for the modern man. I'll say it.
I'm glad someone did. It was the elephant in the room. Staying in.
So go to manscaped.com. Use code HMT at checkout to get 20% off and free shipping. That's code HMT at manscaped.com for 20% on free shipping. And we have a special contest going on right now that you got to get in on. When you get your Manscaped trimmer or your lawnmower 3.0, we want you to shave one titty, on your chest. Take a picture of yourself with your shaved titty with your lawnmower 3.0 and enter the one titty challenge, and you could be entered in to win a Google Home Mini.
Yeah, so if you just go to our Facebook group, you can find the rules on this. You just got to post a picture of your trimmer, so the lawnmower 3.0, with your Manscaped titty, and then you're entered into the contest, and that contest ends at the end of March 2021. So you got plenty of time to get your lawnmower and get yourself all trimmed up. You post it with the hashtag #OneTittyHMT, and then you're fucking entered. And you know what? Almost no one has entered so far. So you got real high chances.
You got real good chances
of winning yourself a Google Home Mini and a bunch of every fucking HMT sticker we got, I'll send you.
So thanks, Manscaped, for making our winter wieners look so good. Also, mention again, nightchannels.com, the website where you'll get some of the coolest, most niche horror, metal, goth,
satanic
shirts you can find anywhere. Shirts and sweatshirts. And do they have any other apparel?
Oh, man. No, they got shirts and sweatshirts mostly. They also have, I believe they may... I'm not going to speak out of turn here. But I'm still looking at the shirts. I got a hoodie that I kind of want here. It's called Vampiros Lesbos. Yeah. And that one looks great.
Yeah. So
they even got a Mac and Me. Remember Mac and Me? They got a Galaxy of Terror. Have you ever seen Galaxy of Terror?
No.
It's like a cheap knockoff of Alien, and it's fucking wacky. Remember Krull or Skrull?
Skrull.
No, Krull.
Okay.
Krull.
Oh yeah, Krull.
Yeah.
Skrull is the Marvel comics.
It's a very similar movie to Krull, only it's sci-fi instead of fantasy.
So yeah, check them out at nightchannels.com. Just browse. You're going to find something that you think is cool. One-of-a-kind designs featuring some of your favorite niche horror movies and blockbusters as well. I mean, they've got Aliens. They've got
Aeon Flux. Remember that Aeon Flux commercial where her eye and all the eyelashes, they got that exact image on there. Oh man, Aeon Flux was the best.
Yeah. Okay, so other things you can support is us at patreon.com/horror movie talk. There you'll find several different tiers of perks, but also, I mean, honestly, you're just helping us out directly, and that is the greatest gift you can give yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
No. You also get another podcast called The Afterpod, where we leave the mics running. Also, we'll send you a little thank you card with some stickers and just little perks. Check it out. I don't want to go over all of them, but there's something that you'll like at least, or be tempted by.
And a lot of those stickers, well, basically all of them were drawn by our hard fucking artist, Dustin Goebel, who, if you head on over to his Instagram at dgoebel00, that's at DGOEBEL00 on Instagram, you can check out all of his fucking work and give him, toss him a couple of ducats, and maybe you can get onto his schedule. He's a fucking busy man because he's got a lot of fucking to do, and it's hard to fit all the fucking into a 12-hour day. He works 12-hour days, not 8-hour days, and then after that he's a family man.
Right.
It's fuck, and then go home and hang out with the kids. So you can get on that schedule, commission yourself some art from him, and you'll be helping him out and us out.
If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, so let's continue this conversation.
Let's.
So I get what you're saying, that it's a very strong perspective of she's wrong in being this zealous, and especially towards the end. It makes it more...
The movie states its fucking case against religion very strongly.
I mean, for me, though, it's less nefarious, and there's more nuance.
It's not nefarious. It's not nefarious. It's disrespectful and shitty.
Okay, well, I think there's a little more wiggle room or a little more ambiguity in the beginning and the middle, because... really, it starts out with Maud being portrayed as naive and maybe a little... definitely devout.
New to religion.
But she's earnest.
Yes.
So, when there's definitely a little bit of her being uppity and her thinking she has the answers and other people don't. Which is kind of a feature of religion. It just is.
Yeah.
If you're really into it and you believe that this is the truth, there's a certain aspect of you that it's your responsibility to go tell people why it's right and what they think is wrong.
Right, and it does a good job of setting up Maud at the start of the movie, right? Which is what we get to learn is that basically she's kind of a new convert to...
Yeah, that's revealed about, 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's not super
kind of
early.
In the first act.
It adds a whole new dimension because you're introduced to her, and I had a question whether she was a nun or not.
Right.
She's very, very devout, praying, pretty constantly.
Obviously had a ton of a little shrine set up in her room.
Right. Very, very plain. Very what's they call? I don't know.
She had pared down her belongings to
right.
a tremendous degree in order to maintain simplicity, so that she can there's a lot inferred, but there's also a lot that's plainly spoken to you of I'm new to this. I also what
do you say is she's new to this before she literally just says it?
Oh, no.
What points to that?
No, I'm not saying there's anything right away that points to. Later, you get evidence
right
that she's new to it, but no, the movie does a good job of basically telling you where she's coming from, which is I just kind of got here into religion, and then she kind of states her motivation. Which I take to be the moment when she says, my motivation is to win souls for God.
Right.
And that's the highest...
specifically to convert Amanda and to save her soul.
Right.
Before she dies.
It is now my job and my duty to help this woman find God. This woman who I'm taking care of as... I'm a convalescence nurse? Is that
hospice nurse?
Hospice nurse. Yeah, so I have to help this woman who I'm almost a live-in nurse with to transition into Christianity before she dies, or Catholicism, I suppose, before she dies.
Well, it's kind of a moment where Amanda shows signs that she's open to it, and all of a sudden that flips a switch in Maud.
Yes.
Like, I don't think Maud went into it with the goal of I'm going to save Amanda's soul. It's like she realized that there's a chance and that Amanda is open to it, even though she has a past that's, would signify that she's worldly and not probably that interested in being saved in the end of her life. And I think Maud sees a little bit of her in Amanda, because we're told that Maud, had a, was a sinner, or like a
normal person,
had a pretty wild, young adulthood.
Let's not slut shame, Bryce.
I mean,
let's not slut shame.
I mean, she was a partier. Like we're told that eventually that like she used to be seen around town a lot. It's pretty thick.
It's interesting how that switch gets flipped. I want to stay on that for a moment, because Amanda is charmed. Amanda is previously a dance instructor, like you've stated, and of some high regard. Decently
a professional dancer, like choreographer, like she's
ran a studio,
wrote books,
and lived a life of a lot of partying, a lot of socializing, a lot of partying, the things you might expect someone who does well to partake in, if they're not particularly religious, or and if they enjoy living quote unquote living life.
Well, I mean, you could definitely be religious and be a partier, right?
I suppose so, but I'm saying quote unquote living life,
Sure.
Like really fucking breaking this puppy in,
right.
No stone unturned. Let's have a good time because we're going to die eventually.
Right.
And she becomes charmed with this really naive looking girl who I'm sure she sees something of herself in, as she was a young girl at one point and was naive to the world, and that's the moment where she kind of like gives her a present, what she sees as a present. She's like, I'm going to pretend with you in a very quaint and charming way to be very interested in this thing that you so clearly want me to be interested in. You so clearly want to share with me your religion, and it's the only thing that you have right now, the only thing that you're interested in, really. So I'll partake with you. I'll turn the TV off and be respectful while you pray over supper. I'll pretend to feel the presence of God as you do. Almost sexually. Maud seems to have fits when she feels God's presence.
Definitely feeling of ecstasy comes with Maud's prayers being answered. So, I mean, this is the other thing, is that it's pretty plain what they're doing with Amanda, but at the same time, there's enough room for ambiguity of, like, even for the viewer, it's like, well, is Amanda actually opening up?
Right.
Is she open to having kind of a religious awakening in her last days, which is not impossible.
No, it's not impossible. And to be honest with you, even with the end seemingly like pretty rock solid as that's a no, it's not clear because we view the ending through Maud's crazy glasses, so we don't really know what was said at the end.
So this is
necessarily
this is what makes this movie most interesting for me, and maybe this is where I'm seeing all the ambiguity, is that it's really, really great telling the story from Maud's perspective,
right? And
it's an unreliable narrator, so you don't really quite know what's going on, but also it feels very rich in the fact that Maud isn't completely defined. You know, she's not necessarily an archetype. She's still like figuring it out.
Right.
And you see her have uncertainty and doubts and like going back on the path that she set out for herself and then recommitting several times to where it's, you know, her being tempted. So it's not like she is a set in stone, like this is a unstoppable force meets immovable object.
She is a flawed individual, a classically flawed follower of God, but also a zealot.
Yeah.
But you know, she realizes she's intelligent. She's very smart. So she realized. I mean, Jesus was tempted. You know, like we don't get like 20 years of that dude's life,
right?
Presumably because shit's tough when you learn your God.
Right.
You know? So
yeah, the other thing is like
go fuck some hookers or something.
In terms of the ambiguity, like maybe I was overthinking it, but I was like, they could take this in a lot of different ways. They could go like realist, just like that there's nothing and she like just basically has her world torn apart. They could go like just straight up slasher and have her turn crazy and kill Amanda. They could have it go like a bait and switch where it's like an occult thing, or I don't know, for some reason there was enough wiggle room in what they were telling about Maud's worship that it could have been that she was like, at one point I thought like, is she actually worshiping the devil and they're not telling us? They're not giving us that information. Maybe I was just putting blinders on some stuff because that's not what happened. But there's things like, I mean, her chosen saint is Mary Magdalene, which kind of has I mean, I don't know that much about sainthood and that stuff, but I know that kind of the story with Mary Magdalene is she's associated with possibly being a prostitute, and that it mentioned that they don't make those necklaces. She had to special order it or get it made to have Mary Magdalene on her necklace. And I was like, is that code for something? And like, is she getting bait and switched by the devil where it's like, you're actually...
Well, and I can see how,
because the
trailer sets you up to think the way you're thinking,
right?
But I didn't view the trailer until after I viewed the movie, and I was like, "Oh shit!" The trailer shows a totally different take on the whole thing.
I mean, I hadn't seen the trailer for months, so I don't remember anything from it. But I do remember, and I mean, just like the religious experiences that she had were so sensual and like, that it's like, what is, when you think about like ecstasy and, you know, spiritual fucking, you're usually thinking about Satan and like a Black Sabbath, you know, like the end of the witch is basically, it reminded me a lot of the end of the witch several times in this movie where she's floating, she's coming, she's having a real good time in these spiritual experiences, and it's told from her perspective. So there's this idea of this is actually happening and it's actually supernatural.
Ew, David.
You know, I mean, you're right. I feel like if you just closing your mind to how cool God is. You know, God's probably a pretty cool guy. He could give you a little touch on the dick every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my notes was like, What would the world be like if God answered your prayers by making you come?
Holy shit. What? Well, I guess the answer to all your prayers, I guess all your prayers better be, I hope I come.
But what if it wasn't? What if it's like,
David.
God, I lost my car keys. Could you help me guide me to find Oh, they're on the counter. Oh, thank you, God.
Oh, yay, David. Yay.
Yeah, that's... Can you just give me a real clear sign? Oh, wow.
Please,
thank you, God.
Please, God, my 5-year-old daughter is dying of cancer. Please take it away from her.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Just, man, there'd be a lot more believers. I mean, it wouldn't be a bad strategy.
Yeah,
just saying.
Great, man. Get a finger in the butt.
That'd be a very different version of the roof of the Sistine Chapel.
God, just give me one. Just tongue my butthole a little bit.
God.
Hello.
I think that was the original version of Michelangelo's, masterwork in the Sistine Chapel.
Ew, no, David.
God reaching out a finger, and then it was just Adam, ass up.
Did Michelangelo also do
David?
Yeah.
Oh shit! So he did
David. Snap, David.
He did. I've seen it.
Snap.
I've seen the actual David statue.
I didn't know they brought it over here to Clark County.
No, you have to actually go to Florence to see it.
Where is that? Is that in Texas? Texas got everything over there.
There's a Florence, Texas.
They got more tigers in captivity in Texas than there are tigers in the wild in the whole world.
Well, I'll be damned.
You tell me they don't have Michael's David? Get out of here. So Joe Rogan tells me. So, same mod.
So, yeah, I mean, there's these moments of, like, her visions, and you get to see, like, what she's experiencing, and, again, it's like an unreliable narrative, and so you're always like, well, that's not really happening, but that's the thing, like, it could be happening.
It's her experience.
Because that's kind of how The Witch ended, was like, oh, no, this is very real. Except that they told pretty early on that the witch was real, with the baby mush stuff.
Well, but that baby...
I didn't go missing, David. The FBI knew where I was the entire time.
The FBI knew where that baby was the whole time. In The Witch. Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, she is an unreliable narrator, but it's made very clear that these are visions she is having, right?
Yeah, and
it's
especially towards the end.
Because in the bar scene, when she sees the beer spinning, she's like, holy shit, the beer's spinning. And then it shows a still shot of the beer not spinning.
Right.
So it's like, this isn't happening. It's just that's subtly going, she's fucking nuts.
Yeah, but that's all in the third act, too. I mean, that's sure. Like when it's like really revealing everything. When she's like coming on the couch from being answered in prayer, or when she talks about being able to hear the Lord's voice.
Yeah.
It's all vague enough to where you're like, could she actually be?
Right. And and there's a moment in the third act when you get to hear the Lord's voice. Right. Where it's not vague at all.
Yeah.
You got to get your hand out of your junk. Stop.
Gotta scratch all that great Manscaped goodness.
So, yeah, there's a point where you actually get to hear God talking to her, and it's done so perfectly. Yeah. It's done so in such a neutral way. You're like, oh, Jesus, is this the devil? Right. Is this the devil fucking talking to her? But also it's like, this is so kind and like, and loving kind of.
It's so ambiguous. So I wrote down in my notes, like, what language is this? because it sounds like an actual language.
It sure does. Is it not?
And so I looked up on IMDb, and this is like one of the 2 bits of trivia, is that it's in Welsh.
Oh, wow.
And actually the voice of God is...
God.
They
got God to do a rare appearance.
No, it's Morfydd Clark.
Oh, that girl?
The girl that plays Maud, and it's pitched down. It's her speaking Welsh pitched down.
That's the most telling part of this whole... That answers every question.
Right.
Really, that says it all, because if they're intentionally making it her voice, that's just her talking to herself, right? Technically speaking.
Right.
They're counting on you going and looking up the trivia and then going, oh, it just means she's talking to herself. Kind of a fourth wall break.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Another thing we haven't even really talked about in this movie, there's a very large feature that I found very interesting.
I did too. The flagellation?
Was the flagellation.
Yeah.
And like the pain for penance kind of thing. And it's this concept that I knew about it before, but I hadn't really looked into it very much. This concept of mortification in Catholic doctrine. So let me just read some excerpts from Wikipedia just as a stepping off point. So the Roman Catholic Church has often held mortification of the flesh, literally putting the flesh to death, as a worthy spiritual discipline. Catholics believe that God, who in their view by his divine nature cannot change, has united with changing human nature and therefore with human pain. The I of the second person suffers and feels pain. So Jesus Christ suffers and feels pain. Thus, a Christian who is united to Jesus Christ through pain is one with his infinite act of saving the world. So there's this concept of like all of your experiences, or what you are unified with, like God and Jesus Christ through your own experience. And so your pain is his pain because he experienced all your pain. So when you feel pain, that's basically being united with God and like that experience.
This is really very interesting, and it has a lot. I'm going to call back to what I said earlier in this episode, where where I mentioned that everybody experiences reality kind of on their own terms, and the truth is very almost impossible to pin down, kind of not real, just because of everybody's different experience with things as they happen, just on a second-by-second basis. But it seems to me that the one undeniable thing in all of life is pain.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody who's in pain can deny it. Nobody who experiences pain can get away from it. And there's something clarifying about pain, and I get it. Like, I really do get it. Like, I take cold showers now, kind of for this reason of it. Like, it's unpleasant, but it's also clarifying. Mm-hmm. It helps you to very, very tightly narrow your focus on what's kind of real, you know? And this shit she does is kind of that same. I think it gives her that same kind of high of like, oh, that's right. I'm working toward a goal. Like, right. I'm not so important. Reality of my quest is important. Right. Saving this person's soul is important.
Right.
Being one with God is important.
Right. So, I mean, it kind of ramps up this this pain for penance, and it is pretty subtle.
This is the vast majority of my notes. Is I've just taken notes on all the things that she did.
Like, one of the earliest things was when she's talking to the homeless man, mm-hmm. and she blesses him. She gives him some change, and it says, I have it here. She said, "May God bless you and never waste your pain." Right. Which is a weird thing to say. Right. And the homeless guy's like, "What the fuck?" And
she's like, "Nothing, bye."
Like, "Nothing, bye." "Well, thank you. God bless you too." But then it ramps up. So you see that
I noticed it real early on. She had a lighter in her hand, and she'd flick the lighter on and burn herself just a little bit. And it was just...
I didn't notice
And then
that.
also, at the very start, she slept on top of her sheets. She didn't get into her bed. She slept on top of her sheets.
The one that, like, I've heard before, this reminded, I think that I read this in Les Miserables, but the part where she was kneeling on grains of rice while she was praying.
Yeah.
And, like, that's, you cannot appreciate how painful that is or how uncomfortable that is to just kneel on hard little bits of something on a hard floor.
Yeah.
And I know that was a thing. It's kind of like
keep you focused
kind of thing. You're not going to fall asleep if you're feeling pain. And then it kind of ramps it up to where, like, the point where it is obvious that she's self-harming.
Yeah.
Like, you see scars and, like, very much like a cutter, you know?
Yeah.
Someone that cuts themselves to feel. Sidetrack. Have you ever seen Sharp Objects? That's one you should watch on HBO. That's a good show with Amy Adams.
Oh, okay. Amy Adams. Oh, damn.
And it ramps up to the point towards the end when she pokes nails through this picture of a saint.
Thumbtacks.
And puts them in her shoes to step on. And that was like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
Like, when she steps in those shoes and screams out in agony.
I've been there. I have been there. There was a point where my parents were remodeling their house when I was a teenager, and so they had all the floor torn up, and they had the tack strips down, you know, that keep the carpet on. And so I'm walking around the house at night or something, and oh boy, man, those tacks are needles. They're just needles.
Yeah.
And I put one foot on it, and I was mid-step. I was in motion. I put one foot on it all my weight, and I was like, oh! And I can still feel all the hackles on my body just raise up. And then, because I'm still in motion, I put my other foot down on the same tack strip.
Jesus Christ. Like, oh! Is it just laying in the middle of the floor? Usually it's on, like, the sideboards and stuff.
Right. Well, it was a transition. So there was a kitchen that had a wall removed. Oh. So now there was space where there wasn't space before.
I'm shivering.
It hurt so bad. It was excruciating, and to walk on that, because then it shows her, like, edging around town. And this is in Blackpool, I think. Blackpool, England.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it kept showing, you might be confused because it keeps saying Coney Island, but there's a Coney Island in Blackpool, England. I was like, I didn't know there were so many English people in New York. But it's a little community in England.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah, and then just the shot of
Wales. I don't know.
Of her walking in those shoes, and you see, like, kind of just the hint of blood like leaking through on the soles. You're like, ugh. I mean, that third act is something else. Like,
brutal.
Like, whatever the end message is, or however nihilistic or atheist it wants to be, like, it was intense for me. Like, I was like really feeling a lot of suspense.
I didn't. It really did feel like a foregone conclusion to me.
Huh.
The one spot where the movie actually got kind of interesting was where she kind of started to falter for me.
Yeah.
Where she like makes eyes at a dude and then jerks him off in the corner of this bar. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wait, what the fuck? And that was like literally, it was just her like giving away a jerk.
Right.
You know, like, here you go. I'm going to jerk you off now. Like, at first she makes eyes at him. He's like, hey, that bitch is making eyes on me here. And then the next thing you know, she's just finishing, you know.
Ouch, David. Ouch, David.
Oh, not that one. This one.
Oh, yay, David. Yay.
Yeah, she's finishing jerking this dude off, and then he just walks away because he doesn't want to. Well,
she walked away first.
Yeah, she's like,
it's kind of a weird thing where she like,
yeah,
all right, we're done. She walked away, and then
I'm done with you now.
And then he comes out of the bathroom, and she's like, kind of like making hopeful eyes that he's gonna come over and sit with her or something, and then he just walks off and leaves with his friend.
Yeah, what would you
Like,
do?
I'm like, yeah, I'd get the fuck out of there. I was like, okay, this is weird. Just got a hand job from a girl, like, and she's shows no other interest, so I don't want to be in the same bar with that person because that's very awkward. And I've gotten what I've come for. So let's go somewhere else. Maybe there's other, just like girls in another bar that are going to chuck me a hand
You can't
job.
strike gold twice. You can't. It's,
Yeah.
your night's over.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when you're in that refractory period, like you have a lot of clarity.
You
You're
got to
like,
take into account the the clarity.
you're like, what am I doing here? I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You
and
tried
then
parallel parking in a burqa, David.
Just try it.
it's very clear that she's very lonely in this bar when she has this moment of, trying to reinvigorate her, living. I don't want to say that she was being a slut.
You shouldn't.
Because there's no such thing. But she was definitely like looking at other people that were laughing and trying to laugh just very awkwardly. And then she goes home with a guy when she's very, very drunk, and she fucks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And then
he was a real dick.
Yeah.
It got real lascivious after they had sex.
He basically raped her.
Yeah. It was a weird. It was an uncomfortable couple of minutes there. I'll say.
I mean, they almost raped each other because, like,
yeah, it was very strange.
She was really going at it hard, and he was like reaching up to kind of be involved. She's like, "Get your fucking hands off me," Yeah. I'm just like, I'm doing a thing.
Yeah.
Which I would not enjoy.
I am pregnant last 5 weeks, so can I start sex?
So then she's like riding him hard, and then she's like, never mind. She jumps off of him, then he goes, to finish the job.
She's like, no.
She's like, no. She says like no once, I think, and
she's like, no.
Danger ops, transient sex. Will it hurt baby top of his head?
Will it hurt the baby?
And then he has sex with her anyways.
Forced entry.
Yeah, finishes off, and then as he's leaving, he's like, "Hey, I recognize you. You're that girl that used
You're that real slutty girl that used to be all slutty." And she's like, "No, sluts don't exist." No, she didn't say that. But yeah, he was a real. I draw the line at rape. That's where I'm like, you're a real jerk.
Yeah, up until rape. I'm with you all the way.
Well, you said it, not me. You disgust me. Just wait until the audio clip of that comes out.
So then she hears the voice of God, and then she recommits to, the Lord, and goes like all in, to where she's like, this is where it turns the page of like, okay, this is starting to get dangerous, because she's starting to get like, she was obsessed before, or like very focused before, but now she's like,
it's a renewed vigor.
Yeah, like obsessed with like, what you need to do.
Right.
What was I going to say?
Should we get the end of this out? Should we tell what the end of this is?
Yeah. So I mean, she goes back to Amanda's place, basically breaks in.
I should mention just real quick, because I don't want this little tidbit to go unnoticed. There is some decent tension between Amanda and Maud at this point. Maud has been fired because...
Oh, yeah, we didn't even mention the reason why she got fired.
Right. So...
Why don't you go and f*** off then?
You go.
How can you slap? How can you slap?
You mad or what, bloody?
How can she slap?
How can she slap?
How can she slap me?
How can you slap, bloody? What good? Bastard!
How can she slap?
So we've just skipped over. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this movie.
Well,
like there's.
I mean, it's all kind of one thrust. It's in a very distinct direction.
I see this as much more multifaceted and complex than you do, I think, because I think it's a really good character study of Maud and even of Amanda, to where it's not nailed down. They're complex. They have different motivations.
Let me summarize this real quick, and you see if you have anything to add once I get done. So, it is established pretty early on in the movie that Amanda still enjoys sexual visitors. She has a man come over. Mm-hmm. She enjoys imbibing alcohol. She likes to, quote, live life. Mm-hmm. She wants to get all the living in that she can before she dies because she's on her deathbed. And she's not bad looking if she puts a wig on, so... So, go for it, girl. I say get it.
Her babies.
Her babies. My babies. And so, one of the people that she has sexual relations with is a young woman who seems to be a prostitute of some sort, an escort at least.
What?
Yes, because she's paying her.
No.
I mean, Maud even says that, and the girl says yes.
Well, she says she's given her money, but I don't think she's a prostitute. I think she's a girlfriend.
She's a girl who shows up with a call and then accepts money for showing up and performing sexual dances and shit for Amanda.
Well, this is a gray area of like where do you say, is a girlfriend a prostitute? You're spending a lot of money on this.
Exchange of money. I think that's when it comes down to money for sex. I mean, she is a friend. I think she does have somewhat of a relationship with her, but
I don't know. When you're talking about a rich person and like a close friend, like friends give friends money.
Sure, yeah, friends.
I never got the impression that it was
each other off all the time.
I never got the impression that it was an exchange for sex. I thought they were close sexual partners.
Agree to disagree.
There was support.
Very well. That. It doesn't really matter to me. It can be that way. Anyway, so Maud, at this point, that Amanda is seeing this young lady, Maud she's also dialed in. She's got it in her head. I have to save Amanda. So now all sexual visitors, which just happens to be this woman at this point. She kind of puts a moratorium on that, and she approaches this young.
Also, there's a little aspect of her definitely being attracted to Amanda. Like when she sees those posters of Amanda, like it's framed as like a temptation kind of thing, or like she's feeling feelings.
She definitely enjoys helping her as well, like in the tub.
So there's a bit of jealousy.
There's a little finger touch. There's a little pinky touch.
Right, between Maud and Carol is the girlfriend's name, or prostitute, whichever one you want to call her. And yeah, Maud tells Carol that she's got to get out.
Can you please fuck off? In a very kind way. She says, don't.
And basically saying, like, Amanda's going through a spiritual awakening right now. She doesn't need distraction. And, like, Carol's like, okay, I'm going to go. She's like, oh, really? You're really going to not come back again? Like, kind of a naive
Yeah, sure, whatever,
thing.
Maud, whatever.
And so don't
let her know that I told you not to do that.
So when Amanda has a party and Carol's there, like, all of a sudden Maud is, like, very offended,
Yes.
Because she doesn't realize that no one's listening to you, Maud.
Right.
You're a nurse. You can't tell your patient what to do and control them. And there's an element of her trying to control Amanda.
And they make some decent fun of Maud at the party. They dress her up as a saint and they kind of parade her around. And then she slaps Amanda. She because Amanda says some nasty shit to her about
How could she
God.
slap?
Says some nasty shit to her about God, and so she slaps her and she gets fired.
Yeah,
and so that's pretty much the end of the story between those two women until throughout the movie, Maud is kind of like kind of staying in the background, kind of watching Amanda from afar, thinking about her, like keeping in touch with her new hospice nurse, etc. But
stalking is what you would call it.
I mean,
she was stalking.
It's vaguely stalkerish.
Stalking.
Okay, well, agree to disagree again. But she's keeping tabs. She knows where she lives. She's convalesced, so it's not like she can go very far.
Anyway, so she breaks into Amanda's place, and okay, this is the important thing about the ending. Maud is given a couple outs, and this is what's interesting to me, because before she goes to Amanda's place and like the inevitable happens, her friend comes and visits her, and is like, hey, I apologize for not being mindful of you, and I wanted to come back and keep in touch and ask her about her life and all these things. So this whole thing where she looks very, very lonely and is craving human connection, all of a sudden she has an opportunity for it. But she's already
she's
committed.
Transcended that. God just got done speaking to her.
She's committed to a path. We see like a bottle of acetone, which we're not quite sure what that's for. And she has a bottle of water. Or that might be acetone, I'm not sure. And then, so she kind of like pushes the friend out. She's like, nope, I'm not interested right now. I got important things to do. And then she goes to Amanda's. And then the other part where it's an out is Amanda, when she sees Maud, pretty much immediately apologizes and is actually pretty graceful about like, I did you wrong. Like, I'm sorry. This is my reasoning. I just wanted you to live your life. It wasn't kind of me, and I know that you're only trying to, do this from a good place in your heart. And and you see that Maud is kind of processing it. She's like, whoa.
But that's not all. That's not all Amanda says. It's done from a place of superiority.
Well, okay, so here's what happens.
It is. It's done from a place of moral superiority or intelligence.
Sure.
She's like, you're so naive. You're still on about this?
Well, it's two sides of the same coin. It's like there's the religious people that look at worldly people and say like they're wrong and this is the truth.
Yes, it was those two clashing.
And then there's the worldly people that look at religious people and be like, well, they're delusional. This is reality, and this is blah blah blah. So the first thing she says is basically apologize, and then what her Maud's reaction, there's like a beat where she's like, oh, I didn't expect you to apologize and be graceful kind of thing. Right. And then she immediately goes into, no, but we have to save your soul, and she like kind of goes into the religious iconography kind of
here's my
stuff.
Spiel. You listen to my spiel now.
And then Amanda goes from like apologizing gracious and being like, trying to amenable to flips the switch to like, okay, you got to shut the fuck up.
No. It doesn't happen like that. Maud reaches into her bottle of holy water and puts the cross on her head, and it makes a little tss sound.
Yeah.
And Amanda recoils. So there's this vague suggestion of, oh shit, is this a fucking demon or a devil or something?
Right.
Like, is this all real? And her reaction is of such disgust, or of such, not necessarily disgust, it's like, just like, come on, can we be done with this already?
Right.
So it's so vague.
Yeah. And again, it's unreliable because it's from Maud's perspective.
Right.
But what you're given is Amanda's like, okay, I'm trying to be nice, but you gotta stop. You gotta stop trying to save me. Like, and then she says basically the thesis statement of the movie, which is Amanda saying, you must be the loneliest girl I've ever known.
Right.
And I think that's the key for this movie, is that's what the real story of Maud is that she's so lonely and isolated that she clings on to whatever's at hand to define herself.
Right.
And then it goes like full on like delusion, and Amanda basically turns into a demon and starts like attacking Maud.
Well, she says, God's not real. Like, she doesn't turn into a demon. She continues to talk to her. She's so put off by Maud's persistence that she goes, this isn't real, right? Like, God's not real. It's just you and me in this room. Right. I wish there were more, but you have no idea how boring it is to be dying, how terribly.
Yeah, just basically saying the religious experience that I showed you was fake. I was bored.
I was faking.
I was fucking with you.
I was bored, so I fucked with you, but not just fuck with you. I was kind of being nice, but really, like, there's nobody here.
Yeah,
and then you see Maud crumbling. You see her in the realization that, oh my God, she was fucking with me when she said she felt it. She never really felt it. Oh my God, God's not real. And at that moment, that's when it goes full R word with the thing. Then Amanda goes, it was so easy to break you. I can't believe that's all it took was me telling you that God didn't exist.
Yeah.
And now you're like,
which might have been an actual line, but then it transitions into like demon scary CGI mode kind of thing.
Yeah, very quick, tasteful cut of like her being like, rah.
Yeah. And so Maud kills her with like scissors.
Fucking kills the shit out of her.
Yeah. And that was really disturbing. And then she like is shown with like angel wings.
Yeah, it was as though she battled for God. That was the way it was portrayed to me. Is she felt like she was battling for God.
Yeah, and then she like goes down to the beach, and we see this weird, like spiraling hole in the clouds, like kind of like a ascension signifier of like, come up to God now.
Right. There's the same spiral that we saw in the beer. It's the same spiral that we saw in the sky starting to come together earlier.
Yeah. And then so she soaks herself with this bottle of acetone. She's in like bedsheet robes. And then she sets herself aflame. And then we see it from her perspective, which is the beach full of people like realize like
her holiness
and bow to her.
Yeah.
And then for a fraction of a second before the credits, we see her charred and agonizingly screaming.
Yeah, burning
alive.
That is my biggest issue with this movie. Is I did not need that last quarter second.
I loved it.
It was the worst part.
I loved it.
It smacked you in the face with the well there it is. She's just dying in burning flames. But I can see another way you might interpret this as I'm scorning it, which is it's just two sides of the same coin. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe she really is transcending.
Or she's experienced both of it.
Right.
She's experiencing both because she's like transcendent and like saying like this is the ultimate, connection with God, but also in the same second realizing I'm burning alive. This is the worst possible thing to possibly happen.
Oh my God, I regret this immediately.
Yeah.
I regret lighting myself on fire. No, it's and it helps to bring it into a little bit better perspective with the little bit on flagellation that you mentioned earlier, which is, pain unites you with God in her belief. Right. And but I really do think it was an error to show the burning. I did not. I think it had a better punctuation, her just having brutally murdered a woman and then transcending. I think with the burning, I don't like it. I think it puts too neat a punctuation on the whole thing. I would rather it be more ambiguous. But
I'm trying to think of what there's a movie that does that, where it's like
American Psycho does that.
Yeah.
The Joker does that. There's a lot of movies that leave it very open-ended and
so that I was thinking about that. What are the types of movies? Because like kind of the deal with this is that it's making God or the worship of God as dangerous or evil or scary, which is like within that realm of like, no, this can be very dark, the worship of God. And that's very interesting to me.
It is.
There is an element of like, yes, this obviously can go very wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, there's wars and torture and stuff attributed to a very earnest belief in God and that this is what God wants. And there's always that, like, well, what's causing that and how does that work? And that's what's interesting for me. If you like movies that kind of explore that, I thought of, so there's Frailty.
Okay.
Kind of does that. Take Shelter. Kind of has that element. And Noah. Darren Aronofsky's Noah.
Darren Aronofsky made a movie called Noah? Was this one of his first?
No.
Was this recent?
It's right before his last one. It's right before Mother, I think.
Mother was like 12 or so. Huh. Interesting. I didn't see Noah. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's probably one of his least liked
Actually,
movies.
Mother is another example.
Yeah, Mother too. Actually, yeah. But that's more like allegory. It's not saying that.
Yeah. It's much more a depiction of.
But yeah, it's definitely like an element of worshiping God being dangerous. Problematic.
I don't like where I think a lot of people will take this movie. I think that's one of my big problems with this movie is that it furthers this weird obsession with telling others how to think.
Well, I think I think anyone that analyzes this movie in one dimension is not seeing the point or not getting the full effect, because I think it does a pretty good job of being multifaceted and showing a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different like ways to process the same information.
Yeah.
And I find that really interesting.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, it was definitely an interesting movie in some regards. The let me open up my notes here. One thing that I thought about a lot, and I'm sure you did too, was just the contrast between Amanda and Maude. You know,
right?
One of these girls, you know, really made a mark on the world with her body. Basically, you know, using the expression of her body through dance to become successful and famous, and she enjoyed living and all of the gluttony or all of the lust that you can cram into a life. And the other one rejected that, like did that and went, this is not the way. And it's kind of these two totally opposite paths. And one kind of sees the other and goes, oh, sweetie. And the other looks back at that one and goes, oh, sweetie. And that's an interesting contrast.
Yeah.
Is this, both of them are looking at each other in pity. Mm-hmm. And that's, I kind of like that element of it.
Yeah. So I think it's... regardless of how much you like it or are going to like it, it's a really interesting movie. Like I think it's definitely worth seeing.
I would definitely watch it.
And I think it's definitely, I mean, obviously, as you can hear here, it's going to inspire a conversation with friends if you watch it with them.
Yeah.
Can you down a 20-foot water slide peg gnat?
Can you?
So, final recommendations for you. Watch it.
Yeah, watch the movie.
Alrighty, let's go into it. Came from social media.
Yes, it came
from social media
to fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
So it came from social media is just our opportunity to review something from our social media accounts, conversations, questions. This one is a specific post that we wanted to talk about that David did.
If y'all haven't joined our Facebook group, you can do so. You just answer a question or two, and then we approve you to come on in, and we keep it free of a bunch of advertisements, except for occasionally our own. And there's a bunch of really nice people. Like somebody gave away a movie, like a code for a movie on there. And it's a lot of, for the most part, very respectful conversation about horror movies generally. And so, yeah, it's a good time. So you guys should join up. I did ask a question there this week.
So you asked the question, what was a horror movie that you were super excited about but ended up letting you down big time? Mine was Silent Hill.
True. Yeah, Silent Hill. I went to see that in theaters and was just so floored by the nothingness of that movie. Just like and not only that, just the gratuitous, ridiculous. Like when I think there's a lady got raped with barbed wire, and I was like, okay, well, I'm done with this. This is dumb.
Sounds like my kind of movie.
Hey. But a lot of people had a lot of very controversial opinions.
Yeah, so I never heard of Midnight Man. That was the first response. Do you know what that is? I have no idea.
No, I don't know. I don't know anything about Midnight Man.
Kitty said La Llorona, which 100%. That was a huge letdown. What a great trailer that did not pay off in the movie at all.
Which movie is this?
La Llorona.
Oh,
The Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, that was a really rough movie.
So disappointing.
Yeah, they had such a great trailer for that. That was the biggest disparity between the trailer and the actual movie.
I'm going to look at the ones with comments underneath. So Angelica said Oculus. Oculus was from Mike Flanagan. That was like his first feature, I think.
It was either Oculus or...
Was Hush first? I can't remember. Anyways, Oculus was one from Mike Flanagan, which consistently does great horror movies.
Here are two from Elizabeth, who I agree with. Elizabeth and I, we agree on most movies. She says Host, which Bryce liked a lot, but I just disliked that tremendously. And then she also said The Nun. Major letdown except for set design. Totally agree. Great set design. All the rest of The Nun was just fucking bluck.
Yeah, it was... I don't know. I remember that movie as like... fine. Like, I think whenever it gets to like series, people have much higher expectations. If you put The Nun against La Llorona, like The Nun is way ahead of it, to me.
Yeah.
They're not even close.
Well,
maybe they're close.
Yeah, they're kind of close.
They're kind of close.
Nobody here.
Let's see. Another one. Dustin says Prometheus followed by Covenant, which...
Boo! Okay, Covenant wasn't fantastic, but I really like Prometheus. A lot of people... I like Prometheus because I'm invested in the universe of Alien. Tremendously so. Very, very, very much. To the extent that, I mean, I've seen all the extras for... I have a lot of comics, that go way, that date back to the early 90s.
So maybe it made sense to you.
It
didn't make any sense to me.
It didn't make any sense to you?
Why? I cannot explain any character's motivations in that movie at all.
The character's motivations, it's a little flimsy. It's a little flimsy. But I'm not interested in the character's motivations. I'm interested in the motivations of the space jockeys, of the... yeah,
the big white men.
Yes,
the Covenants.
Yeah. Whoa, no, they're not called the Covenants.
The Promethei.
Yeah, the Promethei. and the origin of man. How we were created in the space jockey's image.
Yeah,
by the space jockey.
I read on Reddit the original script was literally like included. The what do we call them? What do you call that race of people? The big white men,
space jockeys. I call them space jockeys. There's another name for them that I can't recall right now.
Anyways, they said that the reason why they wanted to kill humanity was because they created them, and then they brought.
Then one of them explained to people. Their origin and basically their story, and that space jockey was Jesus,
Mm-hmm. No, I heard they took a human out and explained it to them, and then when Jesus came back and explained how things were and how they should do it, then they killed him.
Yeah.
Just like, well, he made God angry.
You rejected Christ, and therefore...
So is that kind of like what's explored in Raised by Wolves in HBO? Is there a connection between...
There is no direct connection that I can tell. Oh, now thinking of it in terms of that. No. Raised by Wolves is, by the way, is a fantastic sci-fi thriller show on HBO Max. I really liked it. It's pretty dry. It's very similar to like a lot of the Alien or Ridley Scott universe kind of stuff. But yeah, they definitely have two factions. They have the atheists and they have the theists, the sun worshippers.
Magnus wrote The Witch, which is
so shocked.
Heresy.
This is a man that drove all of the audience against us, so that we had to review bats and then rats. It was awful. And you guys are going to take your cues from this Swede? And I mean, I think that maybe he didn't like The Witch because it's about America and American colonialization
and stick-to-itiveness.
And so maybe he's got a little bit of a I don't know. You know? Okay. I don't know. He's awfully handsome. It's devilish how he sneaks in here with his good looks, and then he like plants a bunch of fucking seeds about how The Witch is bad. Actually, lots of people in this thread said that they didn't like The Witch. They were let down by The Witch.
One that I could definitely see and is a pretty widely held belief. Brightburn and It Chapter 2 was a comment from Alex.
I hated Brightburn. You liked it.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was good.
It Chapter 2 was a hot piece of garbage, I think.
It Chapter 2 was disappointing. I don't think it was bad.
I didn't get the people who don't like It Chapter 1. It Chapter 1 was fine to me. I liked it pretty good. Daniel Lee says the Meg. I waited 20 goddamn years, and that's the pile of shit that I'm presented.
Jeff R. says, We Summon the Darkness, or whatever the hell that bullshit was on Netflix, had Johnny Knoxville in it, too. That movie sucked ass, and Alexander Daddario never even dumped him out.
Well, I didn't dislike the movie, but she didn't dump him out. So yeah,
I can understand why you're disappointed.
I'm turning a corner a little bit here,
but I mean, we always have True Detective. So,
John says Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Anything by Rob Zombie's instantly a little bit in question by me. Although I went back and watched House of a Thousand Corpses recently, and it was a lot more fun, goofy, wacky slasher fun than I had recalled.
A lot of people said The Witch.
Yeah, I know.
Someone said Midsummer. I get it. I mean, I don't think it has the same impact as Hereditary, but I still think it's a fantastic movie.
Giselle came at me hard. She says, The Witch, The Ring, and Paranormal Activity. She also says Veronica, but I don't know what that is. She says, they were so hyped, and when I saw them, they were so meh. Look, The Witch, The Ring, and Paranormal Activity, those were all
I think the secret... Okay, I think this is my secret. Like, never listen to the hype. Like, just don't do it. It's always a losing thing. Even if it's good, it's going to suck once you see it.
Right.
I never trust it because of that. What I look to is I find like a couple people that I trust that I'm like, they have similar sensibilities. They're going to, if they like this movie, like
good chances.
I'm not going to go in and say like I'm definitely going to like it, but it's worth seeing for me, and I'll probably enjoy it.
Right.
So, like, Red Letter Media is definitely pretty consistent for me, even though I found myself disagreeing with them.
Sure.
My friend Kevin, like, he'll bring some like hidden gems.
If it's possible to be more critical than us, Red Letter Media does it.
Yeah.
Like they're pretty dissatisfied.
But even then, they like some movies that I dislike too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, really? That one?
Yeah.
Dustin is like...
Yeah, Dustin...
pretty cementing himself as one of those people.
Yeah, Dustin came at us with Possessor and now Saint Maud.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I recommend. Find your person. Find your person to that matches your taste, and just see what they've been seeing and see what they think.
Yeah, Samantha says The Lodge. Lots of people have said The Lodge.
Yeah,
and I disagree with her, but I can see you definitely agree with her.
Yeah. Well, if you want to read there's a ton of comments on this one. So go to Horror Movie Talk group.
Oh, lots of people hated on It Follows too.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get the hate on It Follows.
So go to facebook.com/groups/horror movie talk and join the group, and you can read the rest of them. So let's get into horror movie.
Whores.
This is where we review our voicemail. Okay, let's see here. This is from Amber.
Hey guys, it's Amber from Wisconsin calling again from last week. So I wanted to talk about a couple things. First, I wanted to agree with Elizabeth. Paranormal Activity 3 was a great movie.
Yeah.
Just wanted to kind of mention that the first Paranormal Activity, when it came out, totally fucked me up. I think I was like 18 when it came out, and I had waited to watch it on DVD. I watched it with my ex. I was living with my ex, and we watched it at night. Whole house was completely dark. Something that my grandma told me growing up watching scary movies, it's okay, the cameraman's there. You got to remember the cameraman's there, so everything's fine. Well, this movie, I hadn't watched Blair Witch Project, still too scared to watch it, but this movie totally fucked with me. Like, after we watched this, my ex went to turn the lights on, and he was like, oh, I heard something in the hallway, and I'm like, oh, well, that sucks for you because now you're sleeping on the couch. And for like a week after that, I could not sleep at night. I was sleeping during the day and just, doing my normal routine at night. I was totally afraid of the dark just because of, the first Paranormal Activity movie. And, since then I've watched scary movies. I've gotten more, used to like the jump scares and stuff like that. So, but yes, I love the whole Paranormal Activity franchise. And then I was listening to your Scream episode, and I don't think you guys talked about this, but at the beginning of the movie when they're on the phone with Drew Barrymore, and he says, which door am I at? It's kind of also a trick question because there are two killers. So, Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich could have been at both doors. No matter which one she would have picked, she would have been screwed. So, all right.
Point.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Yeah, that's a lot of interesting takes there. Like grandma coming in and being like, "It's okay, the cameraman's there," but then you get to Paranormal Activity and you don't know what to do because there's no cameraman. There's just a bunch of stationary cameras. It's a brilliant. It's a brilliant way to mess with a person.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that Skeet Ulrich's name is Skeet Ulrich.
I know. He's the poor man's Johnny Depp.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is up, guys? This is Rojo from the Bronx, calling from the Bronx after listening to this Young Frankenstein review podcast. And I just want to say, goddamn, this show has been boring as fuck. Especially the horror movie talk horror section. Usually my favorite part of the show. You guys have been having some lame-os call in sucking up the energy of the show. Especially this guy, what was his name, Mike in the beginning, talking about Jaws and shit like that. Well, my personal story that is fish related that I want to add on to. What was his name? Mike, the kid? He sounds like he's 13 years old over there. Where are you guys from? Idaho or something? It sounds boring as fuck. So, speaking about Jaws and fish, once I was fucking this beautiful, dark-skinned woman there. We were in a very small room. There was no ventilation. There was no windows. And while I was doing the deed from behind, this odor crawled up my body.
Oh.
And it shot me in the temple like a high-action rifle. And it was the smell of fish. But not just regular fish. It was like a can of tuna left out in the sun. Now, you're comparing Jaws to Godzilla. How about a vagina that smells like the shark has been left out in the sun after being butchered? All right, guys, that's it. Fuck.
Rojo coming in hot. Man, I miss Rojo. Well, I mean, if you got a fucking problem, buddy, first of all, I gotta agree with you. Sometimes we don't. We don't bring the really outrageous, gross, disgusting topics up. I think we did in this episode. I think we did a decent job.
Yeah.
But yeah, I take your criticism, but also, if you want to start a feud with our other listeners, I fully endorse that. I think every man for himself, and Rojo is, I mean, I don't know how much chance anybody has against Rojo, but I would love to hear a feud erupt between Rojo and somebody else. I don't know that anybody else could take Rojo. Maybe Bugsy. I don't know. He's a wordsmith.
So this next one, Google Voice transcribes it, and every time they announce their name, it's really funny to me because it never gets it right.
Okay.
So this one, it starts out, the transcription, I'm really excited to play in it, but transcription says, "Hey, gentlemen, this is older Tebow Scatter from Montpelier, Ohio." Okay, so let's
older
see.
Tebow Scatter?
Uh-huh.
Hey, gentlemen, this is Old Dirty Bowstetter from Montpelier, Ohio. I guess this is mainly for David. Last year I was kind of on a reading kick that died off right when I was starting at the Wasp Factory. Well, I just started reading again, and Frank's character, I only read, I hear David's voice, and I just got to the part where you find out what happened to Eric, and this is the most fucking disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I had to stop reading. I wanted to fucking gag. Anyways, later, boners.
Okay, so that's great. This is my favorite book of all time. It's called The Wasp Factory. It's by a guy named Ian Banks. He's a Scottish writer. He also wrote a tremendous amount of maybe the best sci-fi ever written. It's called the Culture series, and if you're into sci-fi and some fucked up shit, then you will like Ian Banks' stuff. But The Wasp Factory is just a fiction novel, and it's short, and it's more disturbing than it's disturbing in a similar way to American Psycho. It's just a very. Did you read that book?
No.
Anyway, if you're into reading, you should check out The Wasp Factory because it is a fabulous book.
Okay, one from friend of the show.
Thanks for calling. Oh, Tebow Jones.
Little Tebow Scatter. All right.
It's a whore, Bugsy. Much love. What's good, Bryce? What's good, Dave? David, sir. Anyways, calling from Tampa, Florida, where everybody's going crazy for the Super Bowl this weekend. It's going to be one big COVID Corona fest. But I turned 30 years old. I'm an old, dirty whore now. And to celebrate being an old, dirty whore, I went to the strip club on my 30th birthday because my friends that didn't have any money, they wanted to go. I ended up getting a double blowjob in the back of the club in the VIP from these two girls. When I looked online, found them on Facebook. I looked online at the PayPal and the Cash App to find their real names in case I want to fuck them later. So they were promising me suck and fuck and champagne. I could fuck all night. By the time my Cash App kept bouncing back, by the time I made the PayPal, the fucking people at the strip club were saying I had spent too much money in the VIP or too much time. They wanted more money. So since they wanted more money in the VIP, I fucking just quickly came in this fucking stripper's mouth. Like they were about to kick me out the VIP if I didn't get more money. It was like a shot at the buzzer, a literal money shot at the buzzer. But anyways, I listened to that Young Frankenstein or Baby Frankenstein or some shit Frankenstein. I listened to that review. I love Gene Wilder, so I got to give it a watch. But I heard it's not as good as Blazing Saddles. But I just wanted to call in and share my love for HMT. I know I haven't called in a little bit, but, I've been busy with hookers and getting old and, back pain and shit. But, hey, much love, horror movie talk. Let's get it. It's your boy Bugsy.
Love you, Bugsy. I'm so glad that you got your dick sucked off on your 30th birthday. Happy birthday.
I would really love to see a podcast with Bugsy and Rojo.
Oh, my God. It would be the best fucking podcast. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Patent pending. Trademark. Copyright. Holy moly, man. I need to know more. I'm glad that our fans are this primordial. They're I need more people that call in telling me about how they got asked for more money and so they just quickly jizzed in the girl's mouth and left. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, I got you, fam.
No, I'm not doing that. And then it's like,
am I pregnant? Help.
Help.
All right. Another one from Amber.
Hey, guys. Amber calling back just with a couple interesting little tidbits from some movies that you guys had reviewed. So first with It Chapter 1. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the scene where the Losers Club is in that haunted house, and I believe it's Eddie that gets hurt, and Pennywise crawls out of the fridge.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, he's like
that was actually
spider.
the first time that the kids got to see Pennywise. Like, they weren't allowed to see Bill Skarsgård in costume or in makeup around set until they were filming that scene. So their reactions and fear to him were actually real, true reactions. I think that's pretty cool. So I think it's worth, if not rewatching the movie, going to YouTube and looking up that clip. And then in Dr. Sleep, at the beginning, the little girl who is killed by the True Knot is actually the same little girl who plays young Nell in Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, my mind is just an endless swell of knowledge of useless movie and TV facts. So if I ever get annoying, just let me know.
And
Bye, guys.
Bye, Amber. That same girl is also the new voice of Peppa Pig. I thought she was going to say that girl actually was killed by the True Knot.
Thanks, Amber. You will. It's never going to get old to hear from you. Thanks for calling in. That's interesting. The It scene, because part of that CGI, because he kind of crawls out and like unfolds from within it. Like, how would that work if that's the first reveal?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We might be misremembering something or something.
Yeah.
But I always like people's reaction to that kind of stuff. People are like, "Oh, it's kind of cool that these people were in fear for the." It's kind of cool that Shelley Duvall got basically beat by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, I don't think
isn't that cool? It's like, it's kind of cool that Tobe Hooper basically tortured people in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Isn't that cool? It's like, I mean, it's
isn't that great that Ellen Burstyn broke her back in that scene
in The Exorcist? Yeah, I think what they actually mean is it's interesting.
Yeah,
it
is a great bit of trivia, but I feel for all those people that are tortured.
Yeah,
for our entertainment.
Right, exactly. Those little kids, they're worried.
All right. Last one.
Hey, David and Bryce. It's Ian, your newest super fan from Ohio. I just wanted to call and tell you, you guys are the fucking best. I love you guys. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you for the card and the stickers for me signing up to be a patron, which everybody that listens to the podcast should become a patron. Sorry, I'm trying to talk right when I'm a little fucked up. They lifted the curfew here in Ohio, and I'm about 10 shots deep and a big fat joint of Skywalker OG that I smoked, so I'm a little fucked up.
Wow.
But, you guys are the best, and I'm so glad that the girl I was dating about a year ago had big tits and a tiny vagina, because she talked me into getting Facebook, and I eventually found you guys. The best fucking podcast out there.
Amen, brother.
I just want to tell you guys are the best. You guys are awesome. Keep it up. And I did have one question. Have you guys ever thought about making any hoodies? Because if you do, I definitely want one.
You need one.
But you guys are the best. And like I said, everybody out there, become a patron. They're awesome. Support the show. Love you guys.
Love you too, Ian. At the start of that, I was like, there's something...
Right.
There's some sort of Eeyore quality about Ian's voice. And then I learned, he's fucking stoned out of his gourd and super drunk. And managed to make that incredibly coherent call. Everybody needs to be like Ian and hold your shit. That man fucks. I can tell you right now. He's just lit up a huge a joint and been like a 12-pack deep. We love you, buddy. Thank you for calling in and for suggesting people to go to our Patreon, because we're fixing to record a whole nother show right after we get off the air with you guys. And you could be listening to it if you hop on our Patreon. For only $5 a month, you get access to the Afterpod. And, more than that will get you more shit. We contribute to our Patreon every single week. So, make sure to sign up, and you'll be helping the show, but you'll also be getting a lot of bang for your buck, especially when you compare our Patreon to a lot of other podcasts' Patreons.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you to our recent Patreons our recent patrons that we haven't yet. Ian, obviously, since he just called in, he's a new patron. Jeff R., Peter M., MTB,
MT like Baggins?
MT Barrington. Let's say M. Barrington.
No, that's too obvious.
Let's say Michael B. I don't know. And Paulina C. So thank you all so much for being patrons. They get to listen to the Afterpod. They actually, several of them get to listen to the early release. Whenever we finish the editing, we just post it immediately instead of having to wait until Wednesday.
Yeah. And some people were talking about our Paranormal Activity 3 review. We've reviewed Paranormal Activity 3. We've reviewed Sputnik. We've reviewed a bunch of movies that aren't even released yet, except they're available on Patreon. So
check it out. Please share the podcast with a friend, just like Ian's ex-girlfriend with the big tits and tiny vagina. Go to our website. There's several ways to support the show. We don't have hoodies yet, but we do have a t-shirt that you can buy. Special thanks to all our patrons and Dustin Goebel for suggesting Saint Maud, and thanks for all that you do.
We love you guys. You have a great week, and stay tuned next week for another riveting episode of Horror
Movie Talk.
Let's play out with Bugsy's new hit single, H.M. Tizzle.
Girlfriend ain't had periods since she got pre-gat.
Wait, that's not it. Let's play the real one.
Looking for a podcast full of burps and gas, perverted cast, skinny and fat? Look no further. Horror Movie Talk is accidentally funny, begs to donate money, fake sponsors for dummies, and so much more. New episodes every hump day. They'll pickle your dickle for foreplay. Patreon members have it your way. Vote for a movie every month for the review. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rumps. Kiss Bryce Hansen. Look at them hot kids, Chris Henson. Masturbate with a crucifix, exorcist. Face huggers, chest bursters, alien. Linda Blair peed on Sigourney Weaver. I know it's true cause it came from social media. Patrick Bateman can't understand you. Stab you to death for rotten apple reviews. Opinionated podcaster with a doctorate. Spookology, doctor of philosophy. Bad gastritis, need colostomy. Turn Patreons into human centipedes. David Doobie Day, scare him, no expert. And Global fucks hard, professional sexpert. Afterpods, taglines, and porno flicks. American Psycho, them guys pretty sick. Choppa choppa, don't just stare at it, eat it like a taco. Put your tongue through the phone, hoodie, Picasso. Look at them hot kids, swear not a pedo. Got me too'd with Cosby eating jello. Pudding Pops done gave Bryce flatulence. Drain addict Dave doesn't give a shit. 1 through 10, is it horrible or excellent? Oil me up, daddy, is dinner rumps. Nothing good happens in the woods. Always get more than you bargain for. Got a pickle to dickle, machines tickle bitties. Killer on the phone, ain't no Sharon Stone. Vancouver, Portland, Oregon and organs. Corona, COVID, curse, Lorona. Green River Killer, because reasons. Hallway of poop monster kids screaming. Ain't your ordinary dingleberry itinerary. 30 days shutter and jump scares ain't fucking scary. Time for the spoilers with jokes and tropes. Use their white socks to catch their loads. Just show them one titty, pretty. Paganism you should worship, they Teflon dicks. Pacific Northwest, let them see one breast. Shifty ass, stay spooky, poor man's digress. Bugsy, HMT, horror movie talk. Hold on, they don't like Halloween. Fuck them.
How can you stop? How can you stop?
You mad or what, bloody?
How can she stop? How can she stop me?
How can you slap, bloody? For good, bastard!